Hi again, and we welcome you into another edition of Pros Who Know. Ask Holly is with us, as she is each and every episode. She's the president and CEO of the Better Business Bureau of Central Florida. Holly Salmon, Scott Adams here with you.
Yeah.
And here today, Holly, let's get into protecting our identity.
Yeah.
I know there's a lot, especially here in 2019, and so much is on the digital, or we're in the digital age, and
Sure.
Our information lives out there sometimes in the open. What can we do to make sure that that's protected?
You know, the ways that we protect ourselves, it's really changed over the last several years, last, 5 to 10 years. There was a time where we were all making sure that we were shredding, right? Bills, we were shredding documents and things like that. Now we do so much more, on a device out of our pocket and online. And so it's not so much shredding statements and things like that anymore, physically protecting your identity, so much as it is always being aware of what information are you sharing, who are you sharing that information with, and are you staying on top of protecting yourself. We can't just wait for red flags, because oftentimes if the scammer is doing it the right way, the red flags are very, very subtle, so that the breach can go on for longer. And so you want to make sure that you're remaining on top of it, that you're checking your statements, that you're running your credit, things like that. So I think it's an important topic to cover, because things have changed, and it's not just about checking your mail every day and making sure that you don't let mail sit in the box. It's much more digital now, but it's no less important.
Now, with 2019 here, so many of us are on these, and we've got password after password that we've got to try to remember. What's a good tip for those that struggle sometimes to come up with a password and then have to change the password and rechange the password?
Yeah, you want to make sure that there are lots of places you can go online for advice on setting a strong password, but what you want to make sure is that you have a strategy. It is important. It's important enough that you should develop your own personal strategy, one that you're going to remember. Whether that means you have an app where you keep passwords protected and you keep them all recorded there, or if you're keeping a physical file, that you're keeping that obviously protected in your home. But you want to make sure that your passwords you don't have a lot of 0 in your life.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Correct, right. Or passwords that include your last name and maybe the last 2 digits of your birth year, things like that. Those are all things that it's not so much, is there someone sitting out there trying to hack or crack my password, so much as there's software that, if you think about the lottery, and when they tumble those numbers and those letters in that lottery, in the tumbling ball thing, there is software which essentially do the same thing, and they're trying to tumble all the letters and all the characters until they find passwords that fit, and they're doing that thousands and thousands of times a day. And that's where most of us have come to expect that at some point during the year, or maybe every few years, our email account is going to be hacked. Our friends are going to get, weird pharmaceutical offers from us. We go in, we change the password, we go back to life. What's happened though, when potentially your email account has been hacked, they're not just, the value inside your account isn't just your email address book. Think about all the things and all the business that you do back and forth in an email account. You may be sharing photos, you may be sharing social security numbers, you may be completing forms and sending PDFs back and forth. There could be a lot of information, breached when your email account itself is hacked. So, that's why setting strong passwords are important. There's a lot at stake.
You had mentioned here at the start of our episode about constantly checking your different passwords or different sites, your credit cards. One thing that maybe some of our Central Floridians don't know is the fact that you can check your credit report up to what is it, once a year for free, and it's not going to ding your credit.
That's right. So once a year, Floridians can check their credit through annualcreditreport.com. There's no need for this application. There's really no need to pay extra to get your credit score. What we're looking for here when you run your credit with the 3 different credit bureaus is you want to make sure that all the accounts that are out there, that you opened those accounts. Did you open the account? Are you aware that there's that revolving credit limit? If an account pops up, if you've done this once a year, hopefully you've caught it, soon enough. Whereas if you're only checking it when there's a major red flag, who knows how long it's been since your social or since your credit has been compromised and how much damage has been done. Oftentimes we see with children and with seniors who are not actively using their credit, those ID thefts could be going on for years because the identity of those consumers, the credit is not actively being exercised. Children, obviously, and then seniors, they have made a car purchase or made a home purchase years ago. And if they're not in the market, then, they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
And so those are two audiences that you should pay particular attention to.
Yeah, because it's not always that you're going to buy a car or make get a loan of any sort. That's not
Right.
something that happens on an everyday basis. So for a lot of us, we're not thinking about checking that credit report on
Right.
maybe a yearly basis the way we should,
Right.
because that protection is there for us and we can do something about it thereafter.
Consumers can also lock your credit. Yeah. So if you're concerned about this happening and you want to pay for a service, the credit bureaus, several of them offer services where you can lock your credit. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you can go to plans that monitor your credit and things like that. I personally have my credit locked. And so if I need to take out a line of credit, if I'm making a large purchase, you unlock it for a period of time and then you put that lock back in place so that no one can exercise your credit without your permission.
I didn't know that. I didn't know you could lock your credit
Sure.
like that.
And what's the harm in locking a child or a senior, locking their credit or ours? If we know we're in a place where we're in the home we're in, we are not buying a car anytime soon, you're not making any major purchases, you put that lock on. Believe me, when it comes time to make a large purchase and you try to do it, they're going to let you know
Right.
pretty quickly that the alert came back that your credit's been held or locked. You go on, it's no big deal. You turn it off. It's really it's working when you're not even thinking about it, and that's the beauty of being able to do that.
Well, and to get tons of other great tips in terms of having to protect your identity, we always welcome you to log on to our Better Business Bureau website, bbb.org. And as always, if you've got a question for Holly, maybe it's not about identity theft, maybe it's about something else, she knows the answer. Shoot her an email at askholly@wkmg.com.
I wanted to mention two things specifically. If you are filling out a form, and let's say it's like in a postcard layout, and they're asking you to fill out information, maybe it's self-addressed or they've already prepaid the postage or whatever, you're supposed to fill it out, put it back in the mailbox, and send it off. Pay attention. What kind of information are they asking for? What kind of information are you pretty much putting in the hands of mail carriers and different people? Your information could be exposed. Obviously, it's not in an envelope. That's what I'm trying to get at. So if you're filling out something like that, and any of the information that is exposed and can be seen by anyone walking by that stack of mail, if any of it feels like personal information to you, you may want to go ahead, put it in an envelope, pay the stamp fee to protect yourself. That's something you definitely want to pay attention to. Sometimes that happens with purchases. Warranty cards oftentimes are that way, where they want you to fill out information to register a warranty.
Right. Yep.
So if you're uncomfortable with any of the information on the outside of that postcard, go ahead and put it in an envelope. Second thing with mail is if you have a child, or even for yourself, if you start receiving mail that are credit card offers, obviously children should not be receiving credit card offers. If you have a senior living in your home, they should not be receiving debt consolidation offers, things like that. Pay attention to the junk mail you're receiving. It could indicate a red flag as far as identity theft goes. If your credit has been compromised, if your ID is being used by bad guys, a lot of times a red flag could come through your mailbox.
Yeah, a telltale sign is if you continue to get things in the mail in excess, you may want to jump onto your credit report to see if everything's okay.
Right.
And then at the same time, perhaps start to investigate maybe a little bit even further
Right.
online, right?
Yeah.
Well, another episode here of our Ask Holly, as we will see you next time with some helpful tips for all of our Central Floridians.